Welcome to Cre8tiverse, your home of innovation, creation, and inspiration. In the first class, we looked at Adobe Illustrator, what it is used for, the differences between raster and vector. And we also looked at creating a new document. So I want to differentiate between Artboards and Canvas right now. So let's move on to our Adobe Illustrator. Let me just click this and see. Yeah, so we have this. Now, what is a canvas and what is an artboard? Now, simply put, a canvas is everything we have here. Take for instance, let me explain. If I draw, let's say, a rectangle like this, like so, I give it a color of, let's say this color for now. Yeah. And I move this here. Unless I draw another. Okay. Now watch this now. Everything here. Now these white spaces are called artboards, right? So this is an artboard. This is an artboard. So this image, this rectangle, is in an artboard. But if I pull it outside an artboard, it's still on the canvas. Everything here is a canvas. Everything, both outside the artboard and inside the artboard. Okay? So in Adobe Illustrator, this white space is a part that will be printed that will be exported, generally speaking. Okay? It's a part that will be what? Exported. So based on this, you will come to understand that, yeah, this is the artboard, and outside it is the what? Is the canvas. Everything rather is the canvas. So let's move on. So that is that. An artboard is like a digital paper or page. You can create multiple artboards in a single file for designing multiple items at once. Let me show you that. When I come back to my Adobe Illustrator and I click Ctrl N, you see this part here? If I take it to 4 and I click Create, now I have 4 artboards on my canvas. Does that make sense now? I have 4 artboards on my canvas. So let's have an overview of the interface. Now, I believe you've seen, let's say, a carpenter working. When a young boy decides to learn carpentry work, one of the things that he will be taught is how to use tools. Let's say tools like the hammer to drive a nail or bore a nail, whichever way you see it. Now, bring it home. In Adobe Illustrator, in any software, mastering the tools cannot be overemphasized. It's very, very important. So here it's called the toolbox or a toolbar where we have our tools. Is that okay? So these are our tools. Pen tool. We have the box. We have the test, direct selection, and so on and so forth. So we'll be going into all of this in a short while. So we have the tools panel, which is this panel over here. Does that make sense? This is the word tools panel. We have the control panel. Now the control panel, if you observe, these parts of the interface called the control panel. If you observe, when I click, somehow they let's see something here. Somehow, if you look at it carefully, the control panel at times might change based on the tool I select. Now, if you go to your window and I turn off control, what do you observe? The control panel goes off. Now, the way the windows or the view work is that whatever is checked here, whatever is checked here is will be shown in your window or interface. Take for instance, if I check the control panel, there's a check mark here, meaning that it will be activated. So that is our control panel. We also have a properties panel, very important. Whatever you do in your design, in your properties panel, you will see features or characteristics about what is highlighted, for example this, and how to rather edit it. Let's say if I want to increase the stroke, that is that. If I want to reduce the opacity, let's give this a color of okay, I can increase this. If I want to add effect, FX, so on and so forth, you have that way in your properties panel. Is that okay? Then we have our layers. Is that okay? Yeah, the layers panel is very important. The Adobe Illustrator works. I think that works with virtually all the Adobe softwares. They are layer based. Take for instance, now let's say I have this here. I decide to draw a circle on top. Okay, now I'm going to teach all of this later. Is that okay? We have all of this now. If you look at them critically, unless I decide to add something else, let's say polygon, a small polygon there, and give this a different color. Now what do you observe? You see that we have first this, followed by this, then followed by this. In the same way, in the layers panel, you have them all arranged there. You have this, which I can toggle off. Then we have this, which is there, and then we have this too. I believe that makes sense. So that's how the layers panel works. So before we move forward, let me teach you something basic. For example, when you click this, if you observe, we have fill and stroke, right? We have a fill and stroke. Now what's the fill? The fill is a color, okay, the primary color of an image or of a shape, and a stroke is the outline or the color of the outline in that shape. Take for instance, we have this, right? If you come here, if I change this to this, I'm changing the word stroke or outline. And if I change the fill, it's changing, right? If you observe here, we have same way, stroke and what? Sorry, fill and stroke. So if I double click here, let's say sometimes this doesn't work. Okay, it did. So I've changed the fill. If I double click here, I should be able to change the word stroke. I believe that makes sense. Talking about stroke and fill. So let's move on. Let's talk about basic tools you must know. All right, basic tools you must know. One is your selection tool, and the shortcut is V. I love shortcuts so much. All right, I love shortcuts so much. Let's say if I want to move this, let's assume I clicked this by mistake, and I want to move this right now. When I try to move it, it's not moving. Rather, I'm drawing. That is because the tool is activated. It's not my move tool. So to activate my move tool, I click this, or if I cannot recognize how the move tool icon looks like, I use the shortcut, which is what V. Once I click my V, it's activated. Sorry, it's activated, and then I can click it and move it around and move it from place to place. When I want to, if I'm on my test and I try to move, it will work until I want click my move tool and click and move it. Does that make sense? And direct selection tool. The move tool and direct selection tool are the two tools that you'll be using most of the time. Now, what's the difference between move tool and direct selection tool? The move tool selects the object as a whole. Am I correct? The move tool selects the object as a whole, while the direct selection tool selects object at the sub-object level. Now that might sound confusing or ambiguous. Let me break it down. Take for instance, right now I have this here, right? You're just seeing this as a shape. That's because just a shape. Of course, it's just a shape. That's because I'm using the move tool. When I click my direct selection tool, which is the A, what happens? I'm saying that this shape consists of what we call anchor points. which I can drag. This can be fun at times, you know. Now, how does this work? I can click, let's say, I can click just this here, double click, or click once, so that I can just move that part only. Because when I click and I drag, okay, that works. But if you're not careful, it might like this. Now it's affecting all the parts, which might not be what I want, which might be what you want at times, depending. So to draw, I'll click this, and let's say I have this A for my direct selection tool. You can see it's affecting all the parts. That's important to note in your Adobe Illustrator. So you're going to be using the move tool and the direct selection tool most of the time. We have the shape tool. Yes, what does the shape tool do? Let's go through some of them. We have the rectangle. As you know, don't forget you can add your stroke later if you want. You can increase your stroke if you want. We have other tools like the ellipse. Now the question is, how do you draw a circle? If you try to draw just something like this, it's just going to be free form, which is not what you want. To draw a circle, hold your shift, and when you draw, it's going to be perfect. And then I can reduce my stroke or kick it off. Don't forget, this sign means empty, and I have a perfect circle. Another style is to draw a circle, holding my shift and alt, and let's see, and I will draw from the center. Does that make sense? I'll highlight all and delete. So what next? Pen tool. Pen tool is another tool that's very important in Adobe Illustrator. In fact, if you ask me, you cannot be an illustrator or illustration artist without mastering the pen tool. But let's see what we can do. Now for the pen tool, how does it work? Sometimes you can just click, 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 and click. You have a shape. So you can try that on your own. Pause the video. And so pen tool P, click, 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 click. You have a perfect shape, right? Now the second way to use the pen tool, P for my pen tool, I click. When I click here, I hold and I drag. This will give me a curve, right? This will give me the curve I want, right? You can see until I'm okay with what I want. Come here again, drag. Am I good? I can come down, drag. Don't forget, drag means you hold your left mouse button and drag down. Can you see what I'm doing? Are you there? Are you there? And boom. But it's worth of note that when you do something like this, you can always re-edit it anytime, any day. That is the advantage of the pen tool. And how do we do this? You go back to your direct selection tool, which is this icon, or clicking A. And then I can access any of them. Now, what is the rule? Now, the question is, what is anchor point? Now, if you recall, when you're drawing curves up and down, you're enjoying yourself drawing curves. Now, the question or the point is, when you draw the further this anchor point, so this anchor, rather, okay, anchor handles are far from the anchor point, which is this, the curver or the more curve it will be, right? Take for instance, you can see here is tip, right? So when I click this, you can see how close the anchor handles, how close they are to the anchor point. Now watch, when I drag, can you see it getting more curved? But when I go closer, it gets steep. Now this anchor point, don't forget, it's a line, right? That means there's a line on this side, on the left side, there's a line on the right side. So this anchor point controls the steepness of this side, of the right side of the line, or of the anchor point. So this anchor handle, control the line on the right side of the anchor point. We have another line here which is on the left. So the left anchor the left anchor handle controls the left line on the left side of the what? Anchor point. So let's say I want to draw, I don't know, I can draw something like this, click. So when you click twice, it becomes tip. Don't forget, click. Now I want to get a point here, right? Click, then maybe, right? You might say it's not perfect. Click my A, zoom in, I click, and I move on. That is a good thing. I can always click any point. I can go there, click this, move it there, play with the anchor point. If I anchor undo, sorry, keep making that mistake, sorry. Play with the anchor undo until I get what I want. But I hope you get the idea as to how to use the pen tool. And I think that is that. Okay, let's move on to look at the okay. So I think we will stop this video at this point. It's 16 minutes. Let's take it bit by bit. So in the next video, we'll look at the text tool, the color fill and stroke, and so on and so forth. So thanks for sticking around. See you in the next video.